Hi, I'm Sarah.
And I'm David. We got to talk about the Bachelor season finale, Sarah. We got to do it because Matt broke.
Yeah, we do. Wait, what'd you say? Matt broke?
He broke. He just
He broke.
He shut down.
We had one thing the whole season. Then his mom showed up. We had something totally different. Oh, but first, if you're new to this channel, please click subscribe and give this video a thumbs up.
And if you want to support us on Patreon, there's a link in the description. You are right. Mom flew a kamikaze jet into this season and said, I'm taking the whole thing down with me.
That's right. She's like, I'll support my baby boy going on this show until the very end.
I will not support an engagement. I will support you being the Bachelor, but I will not support an engagement. And ABC's like, wait, what? What are we? What's happening? What's going on? Like, you could tell the producers are scrambling this whole finale.
Yes, this was not really the ending that we needed on a season that some people were already questioning if they liked it or not. And here was just a kind of way to end.
Totally. Yes.
My professional opinion.
We start with Matt meeting mom and the brother. Now, I was with my friend Sam. We watched the show together. Did we know that Matt had a brother?
I don't know that we did.
Okay. I was like, who's this? Like, they made it seem like it was mom and Matt against the world, right? Dad abandoned them and it was just the two of them and they only had each other and they've made it. They've survived. And now all of a sudden Matt has a brother who I feel like I've never heard about. So I was like, all right, I'm learning things still on the final episode.
I feel like it was just last episode. He was like, I'm a brother. And I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, because he was like, my dad brought us pizza. And I was like, oh, who's the us? Okay. Yeah, it was all about mom until the brother showed up. The brother was great. The brother, I feel like he Googled interview questions and he was like, here's my legal pad. I looked it up. These are things that you should ask somebody. And he came prepared with questions. But first, before we dive into this, it was snowing, David. And I'm so confused by seasons that when I saw the snow, I was like, no, it's fall. Where's the leaves? No. And I actually had to talk myself into the fact that fall comes and then winter comes. And so after the leaves fall, the snow might fall from the sky. I had a whole talk with myself on the weather.
I will say also, I feel like I did see some snow on fall colored foliage. So it's very much, we're transitioning here, Sarah. This is like fall going into winter. We don't really know what that's like anymore after having spent a decade plus in Los Angeles, but that's how it goes.
Yeah, I really was confused. I was thrown for this. But then... Anyway, so back to this. Michelle's going to be up first. Our dear, lovely Michelle.
Yeah. I mean, right before she comes in, Matt, sits down with mom and brother. And I got to say, like, I think they were a little like, whoa, what's happening? Because Matt was like a different man. He comes in, he's like, so excited for you to meet these two women. Happy. I think I found my fiance. This is great. And they're like, okay, wow, we haven't seen this Matt before, because I feel like they're very much like, Matt can't do relationships, like he's never really had a serious relationship. That's his whole thing. Yeah. And so they're kind of like, all right, let's meet these ladies. And we start with Michelle. And I got to say, it's a strong start. I really was into Michelle's showing here.
Michelle shows up. She's got the jokes. Mom's crying from the get-go. She's just feeling it. It's great. The bro's going to keep it real. And he does. He gives her those, grills her a little bit. Yeah. And then when she gets to sit down with the mom, they're just so cute together.
Oh my God. And again, the mom is openly crying in front of Michelle. Like, she can't help it. I was like, whoa, is Michelle going to like swoop in and take this? Because the mom just seemed like, oh my God, I just watched this other man who I don't know if that's really my son come in, and he's so excited. And now you come in and you're this wonderful woman. And she's just like overwhelmed with how she's feeling. She's like, wow, he really did find, a great woman. I'm so overwhelmed.
I feel like the mom is picturing the wedding at this point. I feel like Michelle is just slaying left and right. I mean, I genuinely feel like Michelle has been honest from the get-go. I think that Michelle has feelings, and she seems to speak from her heart, but like a grounded heart. She's, a fairly grounded person. And then they have this snowball fight when he walks her out. And I'm just like, yes, because she's the best. This is amazing.
Yeah, she is. I will say, I was like, Matt, don't you throw that snowball too hard. And he did. He threw it, he's just like, doesn't really know his own strength. I'm like, you got to be gentle.
Extreme sports, y'all.
Stop, Matt. Yeah. Stop. But it's just a great visit from start to finish. I don't think the family sees any red flags. You're right. The brother, I think his name is John. He's asking some tough questions. And of course, Michelle handles it with complete grace and, is talking about relationships she has had that maybe should have ended sooner, making herself vulnerable, relatable. It's just like A++. I just love
A++. Of course. But we knew we were going to love it. And we knew he wasn't going to choose her. So anyway, moving on.
Rachel's turn to meet the family.
She comes in like this is her first job interview, and she shows up with very stiff and answers and no expression on her face. But this is par for the course. This is who Rachel is. This is what she does until she gets to the point of talking to his mom, and she brings up the first prayer when Matt prayed. And she just felt it, that she was in her right place, that God brought them together. And she actually does get emotional. And I was like, oh, thank you. Finally, Rachel has emotions. Got it.
Yes. Yeah. This was when, for me, I was like, Rachel, sign it, seal it, deliver it. Like, you have just completed the Bachelor formula. If you can tie it back to God, that is like such a key ingredient in a Bachelor love story. Go to any Bachelor influencer's Instagram and there is a Bible verse in their bio. It's just like a thing.
Wow.
It's a very Christian show. And, Christians love crying about God a lot of the time, right? Like, they get really emotional when they talk about their beliefs and religion and how God has saved them and this and that. So when Rachel starts connecting with Matt's mom over that, I was like, oh, game over. Sorry, Michelle.
Over.
As if we didn't already know that you weren't going to win. You have no chance now.
No chance. Maybe Rachel studied the Instagram Bible of Bachelor. It's very possible, but I personally think God brought her on this show for a bigger reason, and that's what we find out later.
For some lesson learning, maybe.
It's a big life lesson that God was teeing up for you here. That's what it was. You thought it was to find your soulmate. It was about something else.
Oh my God.
Look, I am not going to argue with you. You were here for a reason, Rachel. You were here for a reason.
Divine reason. Yes.
Yep.
So, Matt says goodbye to Rachel. He's, of course, feeling good. She's feeling good. Matt comes back in.
Wait,
again.
Sweeping music, David. Yes, he's feeling good. We've got sweeping music.
Yes. Right. Yes.
The VO is how ready he is, how happy he is. Now continue.
He walks back in, all smile, like glowing, right? Like, who is this person? And he looks at his mom, and she drops the hammer, Sarah, and crushes his dreams. And she's like, listen, love is great, but it's not the end all be all. And kind of just implying like, don't forget what happened to me. I thought I was in love too. And Matt's face immediately is like, what have I done? What am I doing here? I can't propose. What did I think this was? It's over.
She took the bubble that he's been living in for these 6 weeks, whatever it's been, and she popped it with a little reality.
She shot a blow dart through that bubble. She was like a poison dart She was like, I'm not just going to pop this. I'm going to murder it. This bubble.
And she didn't say anything new. She did not say anything that I feel like most people already know. She said, people fall out of love. Yeah. Love isn't the end all be all. And these are things that I think most people know, but tying it back to the fact that she was in love with his dad and his dad left, that was all he needed to hear, that he thought he'd worked through by having his dad over.
Yes.
But turns out he had not worked through that, because that actually doesn't do anything, just having your dad on a TV show.
Once it comes back around and he hears it from his mom, it's just this reminder of, oh, right, I'm so afraid of doing to another woman what my dad did to my mom that I'm completely paralyzed in any relationship. Yep. And I can't take that step to like elevate it beyond like casually dating, you know?
Yep.
He's just like really set back to square one here and not feeling good. So much so that Chris Harrison has to intervene, needs to come and have a sit down. And
Chris Harrison has to intervene. I'm going to intervene here just to bring it back to my mom. So most of you guys know Mama Bev, she's in the chat, is an astrologer. A few weeks ago, just out of the blue, I get an email that says Matt's chart. And she gave me some bullet points about Matt. And now, after watching this finale, I'm going to say Mama Bev nailed this completely. Let me just read you some points here. Okay. He has strong Sagittarius energy, which I also do as well. He has 4 planets in Sagittarius. I do too. We love our freedom. We do not like to be tied down. It's only going to work in a relationship with us if somebody understands we need our freedom. Okay. That's also why he's into extreme sports. That's his thing. Okay. He has very strong Cancer energy is her next bullet point. Cancer is a connection to your mom. This means his mom is the standard by which he measures female relationships.
Yes.
She is the end all be all for him.
The end.
Venus is in Libra for him, which means he does want a partner. But with Jupiter in Virgo, there's an inner pressure that he has to get it right, not make a mistake. Mama Bev. Weeks ago sent this to me.
Oh my God. She wrote the Bachelor finale.
She did. If those producers had just consulted her ahead of time, we might have had a different ending or a different.
Holy crap. That's she's got the read. She's got the read, Mama Bev. Great work.
Yep.
Oh my God. Well,
Chris has to figure
this out.
Chris,
unfortunately, is not an astrologer, right?
No.
So he didn't have this information. He was not armed with this going in to his conversation with Matt. What he is armed with is a pissed off attitude, Sarah. He is annoyed.
He seemed really upset.
He does not feel like there's a lot of patience here. He's basically, because Matt is like kind of talking things through, right? Like, dad things, mom brought this up, but and then Chris kind of gives him like a, what, are you going to listen to your mom? Like, yikes.
He's like, you said you saw your wife here. I heard you. You said it. Now what?
Yeah, it's that energy. It is. It's the shoulder shrug. Like, what are we even doing? What am I doing here? Why did I go through hair and makeup to have this conversation? Yeah. We are 2 days away from the proposal. And Matt's like, well, I just want to make sure that, I'm doing the right thing. And Chris is like, let's talk about the contractual right thing, Matt. Okay. We're headed for a proposal here and we got to figure out a way to make that work.
He says, Matt says, well, I'd be silly not to take in, new info. And Chris says, what's the new info? Love ends? And I was like, okay, first off, Matt, you're talking to a divorced man. So he's really like, he's got nothing to share here either, Yeah. Love does end. That's true. But yeah, Chris seemed real over. He was like, am I still the host of this show?
No. He's like, is this a joke? Like am I being punked? What's happening?
Yeah.
Not
Yeah, so not helpful to Matt at all, but he ultimately is like, I got to take some time. And Chris is like, cool, I don't care
Yeah,
anymore.
fine. I'll leave.
Whatever. Yeah.
Kind of walks out. And I'm sure Matt's like, ooh, what was the deal with that? That was some weird energy. But yeah, Chris is just like, there's been too many things this season. Way too many.
He's like, you're on this show called The Bachelor. You're supposed to propose to a girl at the end here. Like, why are you all of a sudden acting like reality is a thing?
Yeah.
We don't
right.
work in reality around here. This is, we pretend to fall in love.
Yeah. And I have to imagine too, he's like, your mom came in and undid the weeks of work our producers have been doing on you with one sentence about how love isn't everything. Are you kidding me? Like he just very frustrated.
Honestly, you got to rethink bringing in the family. You do a good job of putting these people in a bubble and they convince themselves that they've fallen in love and that this is possible, that we're not rushing into things. And then you bring in the family and it is a reality check.
It is.
It could really mess things up, and it obviously derailed some things here. But first, we have to break Michelle's heart. That's what we have to do first.
Right. But before we break her heart, we've got to put her through a date with another extreme activity. But they're rappelling down the side of a building, of course. And then, of course, Matt almost falls the first time he tries to do it. And then the rest of the date, he's like, no, you got to do this and you got to do that. And I'm like, Matt, you're not teaching anybody how to rappel down the building. Have we already forgotten how this started?
Yeah. First, you did it wrong. Yeah, I was like, oh, shoot. Michelle didn't get like an extreme sports date. So I guess this is the one that we have to do. And she, poor thing, is sucking it up and doing her best to be like, I'm falling down a building for you, like falling in love, yada, yada.
Right.
But it's just torture because now he's going to circle back and have to have a real conversation with you after she has jerseys printed of Mr. and Mrs. James.
This was the ultimate cringe because Matt shows after their like dumb combo on the couch, after they've rappelled down the side of the building and they have a conversation about being ready. Yeah. And then he waits until that night and he shows up in the outfit, right, Sarah? I'm like, this is the moment. This is the jacket with the fur collar where he's going to end up sitting on the curb all distraught. So like not good. Right. Yeah. She pulls out the Mr. James jersey and then the Mrs. James jersey. It is so embarrassing.
It's so rough.
And he immediately is like, wow, thanks for these jerseys. So here's the deal.
His face. I can't make it work with you. I can't get there with you.
I can't get there. And I'm like, Matt, there's no getting there. You're there already.
We're
right?
here.
A proposal is 2 days away. You're either there or you're not. There's no more getting there.
No. And it's just so heartbreaking because Michelle has been so herself and she's just like, this is amazing. I can see it. We're having so much fun. We snowball fight. I went down a building for you. I got jerseys. We're gonna, what is it? Make a world. What does she want to do? She wants to
change the world or something.
She wants to change the world. She wants to do good in the world, which I should remember whatever that phrase was, but she wants to do good in the world with him as a partner. Like this is all wonderful, positive stuff. And he's been right there with her this whole time, it feels like. And then this time his face is different. This time he just isn't going to fake it and give it back to her. And he's like, I'm not ready and I'm not going to ever be ready with you. Yeah. And then she's just like, rawr.
Yeah, because like he had just faked it outside on the couch, right? Saying like, yeah, you know, I'm thinking a lot about being ready. And like, there was no indication at that point that there was any weirdness, you know, like she's going into this jersey presentation. Like I'm sealing the deal here, Mr. and Mrs. James. And for him to turn and, you know, he keeps telling her like, I don't want you to feel like I flipped a switch because he didn't flip a switch in his own brain.
Right.
But he did flip a switch on her. Right.
Yeah.
And so he's trying to tell her like, I don't want you to feel this way, but her body language is already totally different. She's turned straight forward. She's got like an arm between her and him. It's over.
Yeah. Yeah, and it seems pretty quick. Like, I don't know the edit, but it seems and it sounds like from after the final rose that this was quick. He said his piece. She starts to cry. He gets up and leaves. And like, that's it.
That's it. Yeah.
And it does feel like a switch to her because, you know,
And
I know he said other things to Rachel, but he behaved like he and Michelle were there, you know?
And there's nothing that he can say in this moment that's going to make her feel any different or better.
No.
Like, he could talk and talk and talk, and she just still needs to separate herself and process and think about, you know, what happened? What signals may I have missed? Like, nothing in this moment is going to make it better. So, you know, he just bails. Like, it's again, the way these seasons go, like, it's weird that the Bachelor is the one leaving. Normally, like, he's putting her in a car and sending her away, but because of the setup, like, he's now walking away from her, and he's the one doing like the emotional walk away, and sits down on the curb. And Sarah, they gotta send Chris Harrison back in.
Here we go. I was like, this is it, David, we're gonna watch it together. David, he's on the curb. Here we go. Chris says, I'll sit with you. And I was like, yeah, you will. We know this shot. Yeah, you will. He sits down. And, you know, the reason he's crying in this dramatic moment that they've been previewing the entire season really isn't that dramatic. He's just upset because he let Michelle go and he feels bad, and you should.
Yeah. You know, Matt doesn't have a whole lot of words here, which is a theme. Okay. Chris is mostly trying to fill the silence, and Matt's just kind of like agreeing loosely. You know, Chris is like, you loved her. Yeah, I loved her, but I wasn't in love with her. Like, that's kind of all Matt can muster, is some like kind of added on thought to what Chris is talking about. Because Chris is like, all right, we can't just sit here in silence the whole time. But one of the things that Chris says is like, yeah, I know that it's hard to, you know, watch a wonderful woman like that walk away. And I'm like, she's not walking away. Matt is the one. Like, let's not mischaracterize the situation here. Michelle was in it. She did not say goodbye to Matt.
Nope.
He's walking away.
Yeah. He's walking away, but we knew it was going to happen. We knew Rachel was the one that he picks. We knew that we were going to have to be crushed by this letting Michelle go. And, you know, I know it's hard, Matt, and it should be hard because you just led Michelle on for a few weeks. So anyway, moving on. Michelle, better things for you coming up. Thank goodness.
Yeah.
But now producers want to mess with Rachel a little. Just want to mess with her a little.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. She's so excited. She's getting ready in her hotel room. She's got her outfit on, you know, fake putting on the final lipstick, and the hair looks great and everything's good. And she can't wait for this date, and knock, knock, knock on the door. She opens it. Chris Harrison doing the work this episode. For as many times as he's only said, Matt, ladies, this is final rose, he is putting in the work this episode.
This is why he gets a paycheck, is because of this last episode when he actually has to be in it. Yeah, Rachel's, Chris, hi, okay, what's this? Yes. And then he knows how to milk a scene. So he's like, yeah, Rachel, yeah.
And she's still like, like for a long time. Yeah. She's just waiting for good news of some kind. You know, she's still smiling, still feeling good about everything. I think
Chris knows how to play that. Yeah. I think Chris knows how to play like, yeah. And then, yeah. And then Rachel then like follows and he gets real dramatic and he's all like, Matt doesn't want to see you today. And we just need to respect that he needs the space. And I'd be like, oh, I ain't respecting none of this, Chris. And I would have blown up in his face. But she doesn't.
No, she does not.
Like, what, 21 years old? And she doesn't. She's just like, okay. And then I bet you she turned into a pile of goo in her hotel room because she now has to wait with no information for like 24 hours.
Yes. I said the same thing as you, Sarah, when this exchange went down, when Chris was like, we just need to respect his boundaries. I would have been like, get out of my way, Chris. Where is Matt? I'm finding Matt. I am not accepting this.
I'm not respecting protecting his face? Do you understand the torture I have been through for these weeks? Are you kidding me? Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
But that's basically it. I felt like they were just messing with Rachel, but supposedly Matt needed space. But do you really need the space that before the day before you may or may not propose? Like, I don't know. This all was just really weird, real iffy.
It's really weird. Yeah. I mean, I really think that Matt is just questioning everything, including Rachel at this point. And so he's like, I gotta figure this out before I can even talk to Rachel. Because am I just walking on this whole thing? And while Matt is figuring out if he's going to walk, the producers are like, okay, we tried Chris twice. Yeah. Send in Neil Lane. Neil Lane is he's gonna fix this.
Neil. Neil's the closest thing to a marriage therapist that we have. Bring him in with the shiny things.
And honestly, a dad. Like, there were moments of this where Neil's talking about those shapes of the rings and love and this and that. And Matt is looking at him like, will you be my dad?
Will you be my dad?
I'm like, oh God, Matt, you just need guidance. That's all you need.
He needs some guidance in the world. And even though he does not know if he wants to propose or not, he's very distracted by these flashy, shiny things and says, this is the one. And I was like, oh, wait, you said this is the one to a ring? Well, you don't even know if this is the one to a girl?
Yeah. Yeah. Matt's like, I'm going to hang on to this one. And I just imagine in Neil's head, he's like, I'm going to be seeing that ring back pretty soon. You can hang on to it overnight, Matt, but you're not keeping that thing.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so now we got this gorgeous setup. I was like, wow, they really hid this area from us this entire season. But this outdoor fireplace little canopy thing was stunning. I loved it. And Matt's there with a ring in his pocket, but he's like, I don't know what I'm going to do.
Yeah. He is walking so nervously around the forest, like can't stand still, trying to like exude an ounce of positivity when he's talking to Chris. And Chris is like, just get over to the bunk, whatever it is, the like gazebo. I don't even want to see you. I'll go talk to Rachel.
Yeah.
And then, Rachel shows up, looks amazing. And she's just really nervous because she has this note, right, that she gets from Matt. And it's in a 23-year-old's handwriting. And it's like, you deserve answers. Sorry for making you wait. Meet me at the lake. Like, what kind of message is that?
The lake.
Yeah.
The lake.
So she's freaking out.
Well, yes, they've been messing with her again for like 24 hours. She's been just like wallowing. She can't even go anywhere. She's stuck in a hotel room. She can't go like talk to a friend. She can't go have a cocktail. I don't know. Like, she is just stewing in her thoughts. But Rachel, again, I do think she studied some sort of like Bachelor Bible. She knows exactly how to handle these situations. She knows exactly what to say. And so even though we can see, like, she looks like she's going to vomit, like you can see her nerves on her, but she walks up to Matt and she says all the right things. Like, even though, I would have liked to have seen you yesterday. But basically, if you're hurting, I'm hurting. And I want to be there for you when you hurt. Like, she didn't say anything about how she's probably hurting right now because how dare you stand me up, which is what I would have been saying.
Yes.
But she's saying, it's all about you. It's all about you. And I'm here for you no matter what. I'm going to fight for you no matter what. She laid it out perfectly, I thought.
Yeah. I don't even know if she is aware that Michelle's gone, right? Because like, I don't know how separate they keep the contestants at this point. Like, she may still think, maybe Michelle showed up before me. Maybe she showed up after me. She has literally no idea what's going on.
Yeah.
And she goes up there and is vulnerable, lays her feelings out there. I would have been like, what the F is going on? Yeah. Matt, I need answers. Like, are you about to dump me? What's going on? And she is so just like, it's whatever you need, Matt. I'm here for you. And I'm so sorry that you're having a rough time. Like, the confidence that takes. I was like, You know, good for
Yeah.
you. Like you say, Sarah, you've studied the playbook of this show.
She is either truly, truly like smitten with him, or she studied a playbook, because she said all the right things. And you see his face light up. And I honestly thought he was about to propose, because it was just like when she was like, oh my God, you were hooking up with other girls. And I was freaking out this whole week that he was like, oh my God, she loves me. She was jealous. It was
Yeah.
almost that again, where he was like, oh my God, she loves me. And I thought he was going to just like throw caution to the wind and be like,
Sure.
will you marry me? But he didn't.
Right.
He was like, cool, cool, cool. I ain't not ready to get married.
No, I'm not going to propose, but I still do want to date you. I don't want to lose you. And honestly, it's one of the more realistic endings to The Bachelor we've ever had, for them to be like, I'm into you, I'd like to date you, rather than like a proposal. Right. And I just could not help but think back to our Claire, Crawley, and Dale. And the fact that the producers were able to talk Dale into proposing after knowing Claire for 9 days, and they can't talk Matt into proposing after an entire season. It's like, wow, Matt had some stuff going on here.
Whoa. Look, in real life, of course you don't propose to her. But the fact that you went on this show and this girl, Rachel, who represents a ton of girls who go on this show looking for their fairy tale ending, and she actually made it all the way to the end. And this man stands her up the day before and then shows up with basically the speech of, why buy the cow when I can get the milk for free? And she had to smile through it and go, oh, yes, I love you too. And then walk off with him. I was mortified for her.
You said it, Sarah.
I sure did.
Yeah, I don't have anything to add to that, because that is a perfect assessment of what happened. You're absolutely right. Crazy.
I mean, it's a reality show that we know is just like not real. We know it's a crazy fantasy world. And the fact that she now has to I mean, things went horribly wrong after the show, but in this moment, she's the one who was chosen but doesn't get a proposal. Ew.
Yeah. She's like, wait a minute. My contract says that if I get the proposal and I stay engaged to you for 2 years, I got to keep this ring. And now you're telling me that I did all of this and you're not even going to give me a ring? Like, Matt, hello, we know this probably isn't going to last. We've seen the show. What are you doing?
Yeah. It was like real life. You said it was the most real thing. It really was real life. He was like, I really do like you. I'm falling for you. So can we just keep dating? And she has to say yes and say, I love you. And let's walk off into the sunset together.
Right. They have this like pseudo fairy tale ending, even though it's not like the proposal and the ring and all of this. They still treat it similarly. They've got their arms wrapped around each other and they're so happy that they're now boyfriend and girlfriend exclusively. Like, wow, this is great. But you know, it's definitely not the same as it usually
Not
is.
the same. So I think this was just a disappointing ending to not a great season, right?
Yeah. Yes. And then we get after the final rose.
Well, things took a turn, y'all. Things took a turn. Now, I agree, Sasha. I think Rachel really does care for Matt. I think she really did fall for him. And I think she was game, much more game than I'd ever be to just date after all of that. But I think she was still holding on that one day he would propose to her. But it didn't work out.
It did not. We obviously don't have Chris Harrison here. I did find it interesting that we did have Chris Harrison voiceover.
We did. It was so weird.
The After the Final Rose. You know, he's explaining, Chris Harrison is explaining that now we're going to have Emmanuel Acho as the host. So Chris recorded this after that casting took place. Okay. So Chris is still involved and Emmanuel walks out. And I got to say, Sarah and I have slightly different opinions on his performance. Not that his performance matters, but I would just like to throw out there that I do not think that Emmanuel will be standing in for Chris permanently.
No.
This kind of made, I mean, I think that it was the correct decision to remove Chris from this special and let
Uh-huh.
him do the lesson learning and the growing and the whatever he needs to do, whether he's
Right.
coming back ever or not, right? But it just kind of made me appreciate how good Chris really is at this. Like, Emmanuel's, it did seem like the script was written for Chris. We talked about this a little bit before we went live.
It
And
sounded
they didn't
like
change it.
Right. It sounded like the words for Chris. And when it comes out of someone else's mouth, it doesn't quite fit. I mean, these are the things that I think most people take for granted out of professional hosts. Like, it's great that he is doing some hosting and he's getting into these jobs, and he was a great choice for this episode. But you take for granted people who are professional hosts who just off the cuff can do things that seem natural that other people don't make it seem natural.
And it's really, I think, the thing that Chris is so good at is listening while, getting his next question ready. But his listening face is so good. And I just found Emmanuel sort of like asking pretty heavy questions about things like racism and then like smiling while he's listening to their answer. And I'm like, that's not the right tone for what we're talking about here. Stop smiling.
Yeah. I mean, it's tough because I bet ABC was like, let's try to keep it light. Let's try to let's not get too heavy here. And so he's probably like, okay, I'm asking really heavy questions, but we're going to keep it light. Like, it was probably a tough task.
It was.
For anyone. But so first up, we get Michelle. And Michelle makes it clear that she never got closure. And in fact, she asked for Matt to come and talk to her.
Yeah.
And he didn't. I don't know what that was about. He just kind of apologized for it, and we didn't get a full story.
Yeah. Are you talking like while the show was still going or during after the final rose?
Well, that's what Michelle said after the final rose, that during the show.
Yes, right.
She had asked for a couple minutes for her closure, and she didn't get it.
Said no. And honestly, like, I guess she got closure in the conversation when Matt actually comes out on stage. Like, she looks like she has moved on in this moment, right? Like, she's very much like, I'm not in love anymore. Like, I have processed and I'm over it. But I don't know that he really says anything that makes anything make any more sense than it did on the day,
Yeah, he apologizes and he has respect and admiration for her. And I think that it's just like, okay, great. She was sad. She got her heart broken, but we're all adults and we can move on. And she's like, you really messed up with this one that you picked.
Yeah, she's like, yeah, I'm moving on.
Yeah.
Matt, don't worry about me.
Good luck with that choice you made. Okay.
Lose my number because I am moving on. Yeah.
I'm moving on. Yeah.
And I know we saw the beard in the Women Tell All episode, but this is a single man's beard, Sarah.
Oh, okay? Yes.
So this would not be happening if he were with anybody. So immediately I'm like, Rachel is done. Like, they are not together anymore.
That beard gave it away. That is. And why do you still have it? Like, you should have shaved it for this episode, but he's going with it. He is going with it. So we chatted a little bit with him first before Rachel comes out, and he kind of makes it clear that he and Rachel were dating. They were trying. It was happy. And that the social media revelations really did tear them apart. That really was the problem.
And he's honest about the fact that, like, I dismissed them initially as rumors because I want to believe Rachel. Like, it's a human instinct to believe what people are telling you. Like, it's not natural to question everything, And so Matt sees who he thinks Rachel is, and the social media stuff doesn't really align with that. And so he's saying, like, I kind of threw it away initially, but then it just got overwhelming and too much to ignore. And he confirms, like, we're not together anymore.
Yeah. And he did say, once I found out it was real, once I found out it was true, that was when it wasn't going to work out. And I liked the way that he phrased it of, like, if she didn't understand why going to an antebellum Old South party in 2018, why that's problematic, then she's not going to understand who I am and some of the things that I've been through. And that's a really great explanation. He has lived a whole life that is so different from hers. And this is proof that she's not going to understand that. And I could really see it from his perspective of like, the mother of my children can't be so blind to the struggles.
Yeah. And I liked that he phrased it that way because it doesn't feel as much of a judgment on Rachel. You know, it's not like he's not saying she is a bad person for having gone to this party or for having worn this dress, taken this photo, liked this photo on social media. His point is, if this is who she is, then she's not going to understand who I am. Yeah. And he's kind of saying like, I don't think she'll ever get there, you know?
Mm-mm. Those are big, big differences that they obviously didn't realize that they had. And then when Rachel comes out, first off, she's lost too much weight. Rachel, honey.
You took the words right out of my head. Like she has, she's been stressed, I'm sure, and no appetite. She's very thin.
I was concerned by how thin she was. And I appreciate her stance. I appreciate that she doesn't want to come across as the victim. She said the words that I appreciated there, that she needs, to learn and grow and do some work. But then when she couldn't name the work that she was doing, then you're just like, oh dear, oh boy. And, ooh.
Yeah. And, it's a thing where Emmanuel is kind of asking, like, do you think it's a matter of education or the way you were raised? And
where are you from? Yeah.
Yeah. She's kind of doing the thing where it's like, I'm not going to try to place blame on anybody but myself. But I would, like, if I'm going to be gracious to her at all, I will repeat the point I made earlier of like, it's not in our nature to question everything. So when Rachel's parents are, raising her a certain way and all of her friends are doing this thing, she's not necessarily it's not natural to step outside and be like, everybody's out to get me. I got to question whether this is right or not. But that said, it doesn't take a whole lot to know that plantations are problematic. So if you're going to a party on a plantation, you're just sort of willfully ignorant about certain things. But I was kind of surprised that she's saying, despite all of this, I'm still in love. I still want to try to make it work with Matt. And she has not spoken to Matt about it.
Yeah, she really does love him. She really does have feelings for him. I am so glad that this has come to light because I grew up in the South. I know exactly the fraternity party that she attended. When I saw the first headline that she attended Old South fraternity party, I knew exactly the fraternity. I knew exactly the party. This is so common in the South. And when you grow up around it, you don't question. You don't step back. And I think that the further we get, like the generations further away from the civil rights movement, I think you question even less because you're missing a lot of information. And I do feel like American history isn't taught well. I think there's a lot of factors here. And I personally am very grateful that I had a mother that when I said, oh, I love those old Southern dresses, she stopped me and she said, there's a reason that they got to wear those dresses. And she explained to me free labor and that it's frivolous and what it represents. But a lot of people that I grew up with didn't have a parent explaining that to them. They just had parents taking them to these parties and celebrating. So I am so glad that this is now like a huge controversial thing that people can talk about because there is an entire fraternity called Kappa Alpha that is based in celebrating the Old South. And that's who throws these parties.
Right. And hopefully the fact that this is a conversation on a national level now on a huge show like The Bachelor will force people who go to these parties to take that second look, to give it that second thought and, really evaluate, like, is this what I want to be doing? Because I don't think that Rachel really, got that. They did kind of talk about, like, this happened back in 2018, as though 3 years ago is so different. Like, it's not that different. This is not 20 years ago that she was going to this party, or 60 years ago. Like, 2018 is basically now. So we don't need to try to make this like a big distinction of like, she's a totally different person now. No, she's basically the same. And then,
she's only different because people pointed it out to her, and she lost a man that she had feelings for.
Yeah. And now she's, when you talk about the quote unquote work that she's doing, if you go on her Instagram right now, there's a link tree in her bio, and it is a link to every book you can read, every cause you can donate to, like every BLM thing you could possibly imagine. And it feels a little bit like a publicist built it for her. But hopefully she's genuinely trying to educate herself.
Look, she's doing better than some people. We've seen these reality contestants who like can't even fake an apology. So yes, it's a bit vague. It's a bit expansive and vague.
Yeah.
But I think if she just can take a beat,
yes,
she will grow. And that's what it's all about. I loved that Emmanuel, got dog hair floating in my face, said, used terms like racially insensitive, and wanted to differentiate, like not labeling her as just a full-blown racist. But what she did was extremely racially insensitive, and she's learning from that. And I feel like that's what we should all do, is just have these conversations and grow and evolve instead of just like yelling and screaming at people.
Yeah.
I mean, otherwise we might not see any growth. I don't know.
Right. Yeah. I agree with that. Like, the best way to achieve change and growth is like through productive conversations, not through like full on canceling people,
Yeah.
So, she does get a chance to have a conversation with Matt. She gets to face him again. She's like, I don't know if I'm ready. And he's like, ready or not, here he comes. So Matt comes out, and Matt has, I don't think, one word to say, Sarah. It was like,
have words to say.
It was like he had everything and nothing to say at the same time, and couldn't muster anything. Like, Emmanuel keeps trying. It's best just to be honest. Keeps trying to prompt him to say something. And it's like heavy sigh after heavy sigh from Matt, and he can't say anything.
And then there was like, do y'all want to have like an embrace? And there was just like a stare down. It was just like a
nope.
Yeah, I feel like Matt was hurt. I feel like he let his guard down for a girl who that hurt him, and he didn't know what to say that in this moment that he got a chance to say anything.
Yeah.
And so nothing really happens here.
Yeah, and thinking back to the episode, he was in a totally different headspace about this. Back when they were in Pennsylvania, it was just like, oh, wait, I don't know if I'm ready for a relationship. And now it's like, wait a minute, how close did I come to getting engaged to a woman who went to a plantation party? Like, imagine what that does to your psyche.
Can you imagine if he had proposed? Oh my gosh, he would never get through his issues.
No.
Like, we hope that he can sit down with a therapist, not be on television, and work through these daddy issues that he has, and realize that he can make a commitment and not make the same mistakes as someone else, as someone who's not you.
Yeah.
You're not going to make the same mistakes. It's okay. But woo boy.
And how brutal was it too? And Emmanuel kept being like, Rachel, you may never see this man again. This may be the last time you ever see Matt. I was like, ease up. Okay. She gets it.
She's like, yeah, I haven't been eating. Thank you.
I'm
fully aware that this is it. I'm not getting him back. I messed up. And Matt's just like, no, Not about it. So she has to go on about her life and do the work without him, and he's got to move on with his life. But you know what?
Yeah.
I don't move on with my life because now I'm stuck in the Bachelor franchise thanks to this person right here named David Marker. Because what did they do? They went and picked my 2 favorite girls from this season, and we're like, let's do back-to-back bachelorettes.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's do a summer season with Katie and a fall season with Michelle.
Let's do
so
it.
Excited.
I love it. I love both of those girls. And so here I am, sucked in, and I am gonna watch both of those. We don't need another Bachelor, honestly. I'm not about it. Give me a woman who knows how to handle things.
I mean,
both of these women are mature, grounded, ain't gonna take no crap.
They know what they
David, what you were telling me ahead of time what you love about Katie.
Oh my God. I mean, I'm so excited to see Katie just be her fun self, without this like competition thing, but also to call the guys out on their crap, because that's where she shined in this season of The Bachelor. And so these guys are going to be dumb and she's going to call them out so hard. I can't wait.
Can't wait. Unfortunately, that means producers are going to give us some crazies duds. Because they want her to do that. But whoo, yes.
I wasn't sure. I had heard, rumblings that there were going to be 2 bachelorettes.
Yes.
We obviously, got the official announcement prior to this finale that Chris was out for the next season of The Bachelorette, and it was going to be hosted by Caitlin and Tayshia. So then I was thinking, like, before they kind of explained everything, I was like, wait, is it next season 2 bachelorettes? And that's why there's 2 hosts and they're kind of going with both of them at the same time. But then we learn like separate seasons. Katie is season 17, Michelle is season 18. But I will say they didn't, fully clarify the hosting situation. They wouldn't in this moment. Maybe we'll get more clarity later. But from what I've read, it's just Caitlin and Tayshia on 17, which is Katie's season, and then maybe TBD for Michelle. I don't know what's going to happen there.
Right. Well, they're not going to shoot that one yet.
Yeah.
So they can figure out that hosting. I don't know that you can bring Chris back after you take him away, but they're certainly leaving the door open for it. But honestly, Chris seemed very over this season. I think he wants to step away. Just let the man write erotic novels and move on with his life.
That's his true calling.
He just wants to sell a book or 2.
Just bring him back for like a challenge every season, for more erotic readings. And we've brought maybe Chris Harrison as our new Fred Willard, he's like a guest on one group date a season.
Just bring him in to say, this is the final rose.
Yeah.
And then back out.
I would be so happy only to spite you, Sarah.
That's such important stuff. Yeah. We can't count roses. Well, David,
what a mess.
We did it. We got through this season.
What a mess of a season. Really, like, truly a mess of 2 seasons, because let's not forget the whole Claire Tayshia debacle with that whole thing. Tayshia ended up having a successful season.
And Claire was
a delight to watch. Yes. Let's never forget when she said, I won't settle for men like that. Classic.
Yeah.
Iconic.
And then she said, never forget that she refused to do her season for a guy she's not with anymore.
Yeah.
Good stuff right there, Claire. Real good stuff. Well, Matt.
But I'm glad you're hooked.
Well, yes, I am not sure that I'm glad, but here I am. And honestly, I'm excited about Bachelor in Paradise because I do slightly enjoy that one, but like I feel like I'll know some of the people now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It makes it way more fun for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. I think we definitely have a good selection of people to choose for Bachelor in Paradise this year.
Oh, yeah. So lots of good folks.
Woo! All right. Well, you guys are the real heroes here for sticking with us for this season, this whole season. I appreciate you guys in the chat, but those who were not here live, David.
I know. We love you guys too. It's, listen, the first impression rose goes to the people in the chat.
Yeah.
But you also get a rose if you leave us a comment on this video later. Let us know what you thought of just everything, really. I don't even know what to specifically ask here, but like, you get it. It was like an avalanche of bad in this finale. So
should Matt have proposed to Michelle? Is that what should have happened?
Oh, yeah. I think we can all agree. Maybe that's a yes.
Well, maybe not though, because hopefully Michelle finds someone wonderful. I don't know.
Yeah.
Hopefully she deserves it.
She does.
Oh boy. Yes. All right. Well, you guys don't go far, because in about a half an hour, I'll be right back with Jolene to talk about Big Brother Canada. And then on Thursday, David and I will be back to talk about Big Brother Canada and also Amazing Race Australia with James.
So much stuff. Thank you guys for joining us for this whole season of The Bachelor, and we will see you guys again soon.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, you guys.
Bye.
Bye.